That's
presented it
great.
right there. So praise God.
Yeah,
Praise God.
yeah, you think back on it 50 years ago,
Hmm.
and you look at these
Presented it right
guys,
there.
you
So
look
praise
at
God.
all of
Yeah,
us
it's
guys. Yeah, you think back on it 50
hang
years
on, hang
ago.
on.
I had to turn that off. Um, all these guys, our classmates, and it's just an amazing thing when we get together on Fridays. I look at that and I said, man, now who would have thought
Who
that
would have
50
thought?
years ago any of these guys would be where they are right now with
Exactly, exactly. But that's how that gives us evidence that there is a Lord.
well, that foolishness that's going on the class email list right now just
It just
oh
shows
my
you, huh?
word.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
I'm sorry, I don't get Mike Hathaway has to tell me when to take a look at it because I I don't look at it.
Oh well, they got a deal going where they were saying, "Is there a God?" And of course,
Oh.
Giggs said nope, and everybody else said yep, and a couple of says, "I hope so." and and
Uh,
so
that's a start.
uh,
That's a start.
yeah, and so I had to look at all that kind of stuff, and I chimed in, of course, with my absolutely,
Yeah.
but then guys like Scott Jones and some of the others um, were. Hang on, I'm going to mute everything here. Guys like Scott Jones and I think let's see, somebody else came up with some good good books or good articles regarding the reality of God and so forth. So it was a good conversation, going forward, but not particularly one that I wanted to really spend a whole lot of time on because I'm convinced all the guys that said yes, they're convinced, and the ones that say no, they're convinced. So,
I see. I see. We can't connect on the computer.
you can't connect on a computer, so you're on a telephone.
Yeah, we're on the phone right now.
Well, what's happening with your computer? Just no
Nothing
internet?
wrong. Nothing wrong with the computer. It says the app will not open.
Ah, okay. Well,
Which to
let
me is
me.
kind of strange. We got the email, but every time we hit the you know like the login for Zoom, it
Mhm.
says the app won't open. Can you try
Okay.
sending us another email?
Hang on, I will do that right now. We've
Okay.
Okay, I'm not even getting my emails, so I don't know what's going on over here on this side of Columbus.
Visit spectrum.com/save to learn more.
What is that?
okay. Let's see.
When you come to the opening page, instead of opening the app, just tell it to open in your browser.
Okay. Whoops, I'm in the wrong email thing here. Hang on. Okay, because it's not showing me any errors, but let me. Carmen, you said you didn't get an email either.
No, I did not get an email. Well, I haven't gotten a lot of mail. I'm just now realizing that when Leonard called me and asked me
Okay.
because I haven't gotten any
Okay.
email for a day or something. So something's going on with the internet.
Yeah, I heard some people out here on the ranch say that they were having trouble with AT&T.
But I have Spectrum.
Also, if certain apps won't open on your computer, sometimes your what is called your cache, CHACHE, your cache can be full. cookies and debris that websites will drop in your computer, and sometimes you have to clean the cache, and then things will start up again. You know, you'll be able to access them again. We have to do that on a regular basis at our job.
Where do
Clean
you
the cache
find
on our
that?
computer.
Where do you find that?
Well,
Yeah, I'm not 12
typically, if
anymore.
you're okay, if you are on an internet page, a browser page, the top right-hand corner, sometime, and this is sometimes, okay, so you might have 3 or 4 dots up there.
Oh, yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
click on that, that's okay, and it's going to say Internet Options,
Okay.
and then under Internet Options, it's going to say something like Clean Cache or Remove Cookies.
Okay, thank you.
Things like that. Yeah, you might be able to do it there and clean out some of the internet debris that builds up over time.
Okay, thank you.
And that may help. Yeah, you might be able to open it if you clean that out.
Well, I hate to clear out cookies because I might get hungry sometime. I need those cookies. Oh, well. All
Ho,
right.
ho,
Well,
ho.
then just come to prison with us. We got plenty of cookies.
That's
All
good.
right.
Don't get
I
rid
think
of
I've
them.
got.
I've done that. Every time you get rid of them, then you want them. You have to go out and buy some more.
All right. Well, I think that I've got. No, I haven't got all of the buttons done that I need to do here. All right. There's the share. All right. All right. I think we're just about there now. Let me go ahead and wait a minute. Did I send? All right. All right, Leonard, I sent you a
New email.
an email.
Okay.
The way hang on, it's telling me that I forgot to put in the attachment. Well, I didn't forget the attachment, but yeah, it's just I'm just going to send it because you got the email invitation. It just won't open up for you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good deal. We'll if it's not one thing, it's another. So
Yeah. We have to. We'll watch you off our phone.
okay. Well, turn the phone sideways because I'm kind of a wide load. So
Not a problem. I can do that.
okay. Oh my goodness. And I think I've got one other thing I need to do, and that is turn it on so that you guys can see my muggly ugg here. So okay. Yeah, I'm still trying to get over that shot with me playing for the Celtics. You know, that was quite a shocker for me. Those
When
of
did
you
you do that?
huh? You didn't see that photo with me with the number 33 with the Celtics jersey and making a shot?
No,
You didn't see
no,
that?
no.
Oh yeah.
I did not see that. Huh.
Well, you
That would be funny.
you were there yesterday, right? You didn't
I
see it
was
up on.
there yesterday for a bit.
Okay, that's right. You had to
No,
leave. Okay, in the
no,
in the
I
sermon
had to
during
leave.
the sermon in the video or in the slides, somebody had gone back and found an old picture, purportedly of me playing for the Boston Celtics, but I think it was probably Larry Bird. Or, yeah, was it Larry Bird? And
Larry Bird, yeah.
with my picture, my face plastered on his thing. I think that's what it was. Because
Cute,
yeah, I didn't
cute.
proofread that. I didn't proofread all of those slides, until Sunday or Saturday morning. And then I saw that and I thought, oh my word. And I'm going to have to speak to my daughter about
Whoops.
that next time I see her. So, all right, guys, it's well past the time for us to get started. And so this is, we got 21 folks on board tonight. So I want to welcome in Courtney, Jess. Let me see if there's any other newbies on here that I can recognize, and I don't. We have a couple of ground rules, and the ground rules are I mute everybody, and if you want to say something or ask a question or anything like that, all you do is unmute yourself and just say away. And I try to keep a pretty close watch on because on my screen over here, I got three screens here, and the reason that I've got three screens for this stuff is I don't have room for four, and so I try to keep a good watch on it. If somebody pops up, I can see it pretty quickly, and that's the only rules we have is that if you have something to say, unmute yourself. And because I don't need any other rules, if I don't like what you're saying, I can always just block you and then you're done. So, and in 10 years, I've never done that yet. So I'm not real sure I'd even know how to do it, but whatever. Let's go begin with the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe, sanctifies us with his commandments and commands us to engross ourselves in words of Torah. All right. Now, before we get started, I want to tell everybody that's in our local community here that we're going to be celebrating Shavuot one day late because we'll celebrate it on proper time on Shabbat. But the next day, we're all going to get together at our house out here. We do that every year, Shavuot and Sukkot. And so we'll be putting out the address and all that kind of stuff on this coming Shabbat so that you'll know how to do that. And all we ask is if you bring whatever kind of meat it is that you want to put on the grill, and we got 4 grills out here, and some kind of a side deal. And if you have any special beverage that you need to have, then you bring that, because we'll have water and tea. Carmen.
Except pork. Yeah.
Huh? Except pork?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and no pork and no alligator. And let's see, we don't have any. Oh, yeah, we do. We have somebody from Louisiana. Okay, but Martha knows better. Okay, so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'll eat all my seafood at the house before I come, and I'll get my I'll get it all over with. No, just kidding.
All right, good deal. Oh, you laugh, but I did a Passover Seder one time for a Christian church. They wanted me to do that, and somebody brought pork chops. It was it's a potluck dinner, and somebody brought pork chops. So, my.
No catfish either.
Yeah, no catfish. There you go. No,
Well, I had an inkling to want to eat some alligator, and then I watched this program called Swamp People, and it's all about alligator hunting during the alligator season. And when I saw what these guys would hang out there to catch those alligators with, oh, it would turn your stomach. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with that alligator meat in my freezer, but I just don't think I can bring myself to eat it now. It's nasty what those things will eat. Rotten stuff.
They do. Yeah, they do. And so
disappointing.
I've seen lots of alligators. We used to go ride a boat when we lived in South Louisiana, and so lots and lots of alligators. All right, so let's go ahead and get cranking here. I have an alligator joke, but we're just not going to tell it. All right, so here's for those of you that are new, is a timeline here that tells us kind of where Jeremiah fit in with the history of Israel from the time of right after Solomon and the kingdom split up into the northern tribes and the southern tribes. And so there's Jeremiah. And then this is just a list of important dates from that time period, kind of gives you an idea of when certain things happened. Okay, and so here's a modular breakdown of chapter 13 in five different sections, and we're going to talk about each one of them. 1 to 11 is talking about the ruined linen sash, what it means, what all was involved in that. 12 to 14 talking about the wine jars, and that's the inevitability of judgment. 15 to 17 is a call to humble yourselves before the coming darkness, and that's the way it's described as darkness. And 18 to 19, it was a word to the king and the queen mother, the king's mother, and it announced or prophesied the fall of the Davidic rule. And then finally, from 20 to 27, it's just a commentary from God himself about how he's going to expose the sin of Judah and their shame and so forth. So, all right, so we'll go and get into all of that. All right, verses 1 to 2. Thus Adonai said to me, go and buy yourself a linen waistband and put it around your waist. Do not put it in water. So I got a waistband in keeping with the word of Adonai and put it on my waist. Okay, so what's the deal with the waist? Well, the waist, it's called an Etzor Pishtim, and it was a priestly, something that the priest would wear. It's made out of linen, and linen was typically, and I wouldn't say it was reserved for the priesthood, but there were lots of commandments about how the priests had to wear linen rather than wool or camel hair or whatever else they made their clothes out of back in those days. And specifically the commandments for the priests when they were ministering and going up high on the altar and everything, they were to wear linen undergarments, and so that they would not expose themselves unduly when they're way up high and people could look up under their tunics and so forth. So priests wore linen. And so the Lord told Jeremiah, go and buy a linen sash or a girdle. In some translations, they call it a girdle. And in others, it's a sash or a belt. And typically, I would say that it's just probably a what we would call a sash, big, long piece of cloth that they could wrap around their body. But it was, I said, don't put it in water. So that meant no washing of it, no cleansing of it. The sash would bear the grime and the dirt of use, and that would mirror Judah's moral filth, unwashed, and no repentance. And so that sash being a priestly thing, it was worn close to their body, and just as God's people were supposed to be close to God, and he was their chosen people and set apart from all of the rest of the world, they were special, and so they were wrapped up there with supposed to be very close to God, and that was what was emblematic of the sash. And so going ahead with verses 3 to 5, then the word of Adonai came to me a second time, saying, take the waistband that you bought, which is on your waist, and get up, go to Parath, and hide it there in a cleft of the rock. So I went and hid it at Parath as Adonai commanded me. All right, so we have a little bit of a differences of opinion here. because in other places in the Bible, the word there, parath, it's indicative, or it's the name of what they call the Euphrates River. And that's generally, the Euphrates associated with Babylon, and that's going to be where the Israelite, Judahites, people from Judah, are going to be exiled to Babylon. And so they would say, well, the Lord told him to take this sash and go to the Euphrates River and stick it in a crevice or crack, or someplace up there, and just leave it there. Well, the problem with that is to go up there and back is about a 3 to 4 month journey. And so for Jeremiah to take off, go up to the Euphrates and come back, and then it says many days later, the Lord said, okay, I want you to go back and retrieve that sash. So there is an alternative thought here that some theologians, and I think it bears looking at anyway. Instead of parath, it's parah, and it's an area that's just a few miles northeast of Jerusalem, and I think 2 miles north of Anathoth, which was the hometown of Jeremiah. And so, by taking to the Euphrates, there's the symbolism there is the people who were close to God, the closeness of God, is taken away and hidden in a rocky crevice near a riverbed associated with their future captors. And so you've got that symbolic thought there. And so this anticipates the exile. But there's also the idea, and I got some pictures here just to show you. Here's a map. Okay, so here's okay, and this map, this is for ancient towns. Okay, and so where it's got Jebus, okay, that is Jerusalem. Okay, that's the early name of Jerusalem. All right, and you got Bethlehem down here, and other places that you might recognize. Hebron, Peor is another one. So Nob. Nob was where King Saul killed a lot of, if he didn't kill all of them, he killed a lot of the priests because they were preaching against him and some of the things that he was doing. So he just went and killed them. And then Anathoth here is Jeremiah's hometown. And then up here, they say, well, it's kind of a question mark. It's Parah. Maybe that's where it was. And there's some archaeological digs that are up there that they say that could have been where it was. Okay. And so here is that area, that wadi or gorge or whatever they call it there. This is present day. Okay. That's what it looks like today. And you can tell that I don't think a jackrabbit could live in that area there. It's very dry, and there's almost, you got this little creek that runs through there, but it's not really a creek. It's just a low spot. And if they get any moisture at all, it all flows into that and then just kind of disappears. And it's called a wadi. A Wadi Farah is what this place is called. So I just wanted to kind of show you a picture of kind of where I think would have been reasonable for Jeremiah to go up there, because he could go up there and get back home in a day. and not to miss out on any of his prophetic and priestly duties there in Jerusalem. And there's really no indication anywhere in scriptures that Jeremiah took off 4 months at one point, came back home, and then took off on another journey. It was gone for 4 months. And so, it could have been, and maybe it was, but we just don't know. And so it's not something that I'm going to argue over. All right. So any comments or questions about that so far? All right. Verses 6 and 7. Now it came to pass after many days that Adonai said to me, "Get up, go to Perath, and take the waistband that I commanded you to hide there." So I went up to Perath, dug it up, and took the waistband from the place where I had hidden it. But to my surprise, the waistband was marred, worth nothing at all. All right, so there's a couple of things here. The sash, God told him, go up and get the sash. He went up there, and he described it in there that it was in the Hebrew word for it is sahat. Okay, it's spoiled, ruined, corrupted, destroyed. And so then he said, so now the sash is now useless. And again, the Hebrew word for that is lo yitzlah, and it means not prospering, not succeeding in its purpose, is what the Hebrew implies. And so the theology behind that meant that Judah's corruption had rendered them unfit for their calling. The sash was not just dirty, it was structurally ruined. And so that's a picture of deep moral and spiritual decay. This is similar to what a person, if they were somehow rendered unclean, the concept between tameh and tahor, which is whether you're clean or unclean, and it has nothing to do with sin. It just means whether you are ritually qualified to go to the temple and worship, or you're not. When Yeshua touched the leper in chapter of, I think it's Luke, he was unclean for 7 days. And so he had to go through the cleansing rituals of someone who was unclean due to leprosy before he could go back into Jerusalem and go into the temple. So that's the same concept here, that Judah was rendered unclean because they were just so corrupt, and it's almost like their own bodies were dead, so they were corrupt. And so anyway, the thing was totally useless. I think down here in South Texas, we say no sirve nada. It just not good for anything. All right. So, and one of the things that he did, he says, and much to my surprise, well, I looked at that again and kind of questioned part of it. And so why would it have been much to his surprise that the waistband was wasted, especially if he had taken it and stuck it in the crack of some place up there where it's dry, and the Dead Sea Scrolls sat up there in cracks and crevices in a little cave or something like that for 2,000 years. And they survived. And so why would this the sash be totally wasted and wiped out in a relatively short time? Well, and why it could have Jeremiah could have been actually surprised by that, but I think it may also be more of a play on the words where
Rabbi.
Yeah.
I was looking at it. It simply says "Hine," just behold.
that it doesn't really
Yeah.
say he was surprised. Just as behold, it was dirty.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Yeah, it was. I'm just going by one of the translations, and it was. You say, "Behold," it was like, "Aha! Look at this! It's marred and it's worthless. It is." Uh, but that's part of his. I think it may have been part of his prophetic shtick there of his preaching and prophecy is that would show that look at this and so anyway that just kind of jumped out at me today and yeah, Warren's right on that. The word there is it's not surprise, it's hene, and that's the same things like behold or look at this, something like that. All right, so let's go ahead then, verse 8 through 10. Then the word of Adonai came to me, saying, Thus says Adonai, just so I will mar the pride of Judah and the great pride of Jerusalem, this wicked people who refuse to hear my words, who walk in the stubbornness of their own heart and go after other gods to serve them and worship them, will be just like this waistband, worth nothing at all. All right, so looking at these verses here, you see that the sash was ruined, is profitable for nothing, and I've already talked to about some of those, and but the idea that there's three examples that are pointed out in these scriptures of the pride that he's talking about of Judah. And examples of that pride are played out in what they did, what they didn't do. And one of them is that they just refused to hear or listen to the word of God. In the Hebrew, it's me'anim lismoa, and that means that they just keep refusing to listen. It is a what would you call it? A progressive verb there. It's not that they just didn't listen, but they just kept on and kept on listening and for refusing to listen. And so then the next one was that they just had a stubbornness, a hardness of heart, and it's again in the Hebrew bishiru libam, and it's just obstinacy of heart. And then the other one is they go after false gods, the little g gods, and so that's covenant betrayal. And they're following after, or they're in pursuit of something that is ungodly. And those are the three examples that are given here as to why that they're prideful and why God is not pleased with them. And so the result of all of that, of their pride and all that, is that they will be exiled. They're going to leave the land, and that was all prophesied back in Deuteronomy, where Moses said, this is what's going to happen to you guys. You're going to chase after other gods, and it's going to get to the point where you're going to be exiled from the land. And so that's exactly what was going on. All right, so the sash then represented the country, the people of Judah, and they were ruined because of refusal to hear, their stubborn hearts, and their idolatrous pursuit. All right, and so the word that they use there for pride, Judah's pride's gaon, and it's kind of that inner rot that makes them totally useless as God's garment. It's kind of like when you I don't know if any of you ever use the bungee cords, but you can take a bungee cord and if you don't use it, I've had some that's sitting, hanging on my bungee cord rack in my garage, and I've gone out there and not ever used it. In some cases, never even used the things. They're brand new in terms of me never using them, but they may have sat there in on that rack, either inside, okay, or outside, maybe in the sun, and they just kind of rot out. Tires will dry rot, and they look okay until they're not. And so that's kind of what Judah, I would say, that Gaon, that pride, that just kind of they decayed from the inside and they were just rotten. All right. So verse 11. For just as the waistband clings to a man's waist, so I will make the whole house of Israel and the whole house of Judah cling to me, declares Adonai, to be to me a people, a name, a praise, and a glory. But they would not obey. So here, that's the Lord is kind of showing us what that sash represented. It was something that it was going to cling to him. They would wrapped up around him as if they were wrapped around God, so close to him that it was almost an intimate garment. And the Hebrew word is davak, and it means to cling or to stick or to cleave or adhere, like tape. Stuck on. I'm stuck on you. And so that's normally used in covenant contexts, like in Genesis 2:24 or Deuteronomy 10:20, of loyal attachment, where they are attached to the Lord through the covenant. And so God's idea was that he was going to make all of Israel, the northern tribes, all of the house of Judah, the southern tribes, to cling to him. He wanted them to be there. He wanted to be the which is the covenant people, and also for for a name, and then they would be a praise, Tehillah, and for the glory of the Lord, Tiferet. And so the beauty, the splendor, the honor of all of this, that's what he wanted. And yet, tragically, they wouldn't listen. And so what the Bible says there, that again, lo samu, and meant you did not listen. The lo is did not, and the samu was to listen. And so God created these people to be beautiful, close-fitting, priestly adornment, and yet now they've just become rotted, useless sash, something that just falls apart, like my bungee cord that you haven't used it and you pull it and it just falls right apart. Okay. I'm just looking for anybody had comments. Okay. 12-14. Moreover, speak this word to them, thus says Adonai, the God of Israel. Every jug should be filled with wine. When they say to you, don't we know very well that every jug should be filled with wine? Then you will say to them, thus says Adonai, I am about to fill all the inhabitants of this land, even the kings who sit on David's throne, the Kohanim, the prophets, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with drunkenness. Okay. And I will smash them against each other, even fathers and sons, says Adonai. I will show no pity, no regret, no compassion, to keep me from destroying them. All right, so this is a little bit confusing. No, it's a lot confusing in some ways, because he said that the Lord is saying, I'm going to every jug should be filled with wine, and so when he says that, then the people in Jerusalem and Judah says, yeah, well, so what? Of course, every jug should be filled with wine. Why? Because we're the chosen people. And because we're the chosen people, we have special privilege among the nations. We should have all of this, all of the wine, all the jugs filled with wine. We should have all of our granaries filled with grain. We should have, food stores everywhere because we're the promised ones, and so there's that pride that's coming up again, against them. And so in this place, though, God is saying, yeah, you're saying, and I'm telling you that I want the jugs filled with wine, and you're saying, of course you do, because we're your chosen people. But he's coming back on them, and he's saying that instead of let me get on my notes. I forget. He's instead of having the wine that say like the wine that Yeshua made for the wedding in Cana, which was real wine. It wasn't Welch's grape juice, but it was, instead of having wine that is good, it's enjoyable, it's pleasurable. He said, I'm going to give you the not only the wine, but you're going to get the drunkenness. Okay, it's like the wine is going to be spiked with Everclear, and or moonshine, white lightning. That you drink it for pleasure, and you wake up the next morning with a headache that you'd have to get better to die. And so that's what he said. I'm going to fill you not with pleasure, but I'm going to fill you with drunkenness to where you can't even function. And at every level of the society is going to be involved in this, from the king down to the inhabitants. Everyone is going to be affected by this stupor of sin and corruption that you're in, so that you really you won't know. It's going to be a divine intoxication, but not in a good way. It's sikaron in Hebrew, and it's just basically they're just going to be so drunk that they stagger under divine judgment. And if you've ever been in that situation or seen people in that situation of where they're so drunk they can't get up and they just lay there in their own filth, and if you've ever pulled shore patrol in a foreign port, you know what how that works sometimes. And when you're in that kind of a position, you're not good for anything, and you just feel miserable, and the hangover the next day is even worse. And so that's what God said. That's what I'm going to do for you. You're not going to have the pleasurable aspects of having a nice, fine wine. You're going to have Boone's Farm, or one of those things. And then not only that, I'm going to dilute it half and half with Everclear, so that it's just almost going to kill you. And it's going to be a bad judgment and a bad thing for you. And that's that's about the best way that I can describe what it is that he's saying here. Maybe somebody else might have a better explanation for that. But instead of the prosperity that the people expected, maybe they've even sort of demanded, God's going to send destruction. That's the message that he's trying to give them now. And he says, and these guys, I'm going to slam them together, and no pity, no remorse at doing this, and I'm going to show no mercy. And when I think of that, I think of some of the old cartoons or the slapstick comedy of the day, where the guy would take one guy and the other guy, and they'd slap their heads together like that and knock them out, and or knock them kind of silly. And that's kind of what when I read this, that's kind of where I came up with. So this is an irreversible judgment, and it's just going to be horrible. So anybody want to add something to that, or I'm not going to ask anybody to give me any insight into overt drunkenness, because we'll just let that go as it is. So nobody wants to confess. All right, let's go ahead. Verses 15 to 17. Hear and give ear. Do not be haughty, for Adonai has spoken. Give glory to Adonai your God before it grows dark, and before your feet stumble on mountains at dusk. When you look for light, he turns it into the shadow of death and turns it into deep darkness. But if you will not listen, my soul will sob in secret before such pride, and my eyes will weep bitterly and overflow with tears, for Adonai's flock will be taken captive. All right, so here again, it's a kind of a tragic prophecy. It's a call to humble themselves. He's wanting them to listen to God's commandments. Hear and don't be proud. It's in the Hebrew, where it says hear and give ear, that's it's a double imperative, I guess it would be what the grammarians would call it. But it's, just listen up, and you just try to say it a different way, only stronger. But it's a very, very strong imperative to listen to what I'm saying. And it would be more like when you take somebody and you shake them, say, listen to me, listen to my words. And that's what Jeremiah is saying here. And he said, don't be proud. Get away from your pride. And because that pride is the central issue. They are refusing to bow to God's word and to his commandments, is what it amounts to. And so he says, you need to change your ways before this judgment comes, because it's going to be just darkness everywhere. I mean, just horrible darkness. And the idea that, in fact, there was some real darkness, because some of the people, one of the kings, and I'm having a brain disconnect here, where he was the last king there in Judah, and what they did was they killed all of his sons. The Babylonians killed all of his sons in front of him, and then they put out his eyes. So the last thing he ever saw on this earth was the slaughter of all his sons, the execution of all his sons. And so that's a horrible horrible darkness. Martha.
Was that Jehoiakim or something like that?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of.
Hezekiah?
Huh?
I was
No, it
thinking
wasn't
Hezekiah.
Hezekiah. I think it'd be Jehoiakim.
Jehoiakim? Yeah.
I believe so. I think that
Okay.
he was the last king of Judah. Well, I could tell. Hang on just a second. We'll look back up at our little timeline here. We can see that it's I think it's Jehoiakim here, right there. And I don't think it was Zedekiah, it's Jehoiakim, because Zedekiah then was put in there later on. Okay. But that was the darkness that was coming on them. And so he says, give God the glory. Now, you've heard me teach before about how that the glory of God in the Bible has been described as a kavod. It's a weight, a heaviness in a good way. That's to give glory and acknowledge his righteousness. That's the weight of God's glory, where like when the tabernacle was first dedicated, God's spirit was so heavy that Moses and Aaron and all the priests and the Levites couldn't even stand up because of the heaviness of God's glory. Same thing when Solomon's temple was dedicated, that the weight of God's glory was just so heavy that they couldn't get up. Okay, Zedekiah. Okay, Deb says that it was Zedekiah who was his eyes were put out, and it may very well be. I just couldn't remember who the one it was, but if you looked it up and that's what it is, good on you. Thanks for doing that. So anyway, the phrase is Tenu Adonai Elohechem Kavod, and it just he says, give God the glory or acknowledge his righteousness and do it now. There's time to do it now. Once Nebuchadnezzar surrounds the city, it's too late. And so he's just trying to get them to do that. Repent now while there's time. And that's a message for today too, is repent now before everything is too late. And because we never know what kind of day we're going to have. So that's just another preaching thing. But the alternative is Judah does not heed the call to repent. Jeremiah said that he himself will be full of inner grief. I put the Hebrew words in there for that, because I thought it was kind of just neat. And where Jeremiah's inner grief, it mirrors God's own sorrow over the judgment. God was not happy with this. I mean, this was not something that he took any kind of delight in whatsoever. And he's going to weep, and Jeremiah's going to weep. And so is God going to be hurt, because his people are going to be taken captive. And it's something of their own making, their own doing, because God put out the word at when he gave the Torah, and he stipulated, if you obey my words, this is where the blessing will flow. If you don't obey my words, then the curses are going to flow 3 times more than the blessing. He didn't say 3 times, but there's 3 times more curses than there are blessings. So the blessings, the curses were going to be pretty nasty if you don't obey God's word. All right. So going ahead here, it said, say to the king and the queen mother, sit down low, for your glorious crown has fallen from your head. The towns of the south will be shut up with no one to open them. All Judah is taken into exile, utterly swept into exile. All right, so what they're saying here is this probably refers to Jehoiakim and his mother Nehushta, and it could possibly be someone else later in the Davidic than this particular pair. But anyway, he's just saying that sit down low, means in the Hebrew to be humbled and to be brought low, or just you're going to be, basically humiliated and put down and insulted. You're going to be humbled. And your beautiful crown is going to come off. And so that's a symbol that the monarchy, the glory of the monarchy is collapsing under judgment, and the good times are over. What Don Meredith used to sing, "Turn out the lights, the party's over." Well, that's what's going to be happening. It says the cities of the Negev, the city of the south, will be shut up. And what happens is Nebuchadnezzar came in and he laid waste. I mean, he went doing siege, all of the walled cities around Jerusalem. He just took them over and laid siege to them. They didn't last very long because they couldn't stand against the armies of Nebuchadnezzar. And so there was no escape from any of that. And so and he said all of them will be sent to exile. And that is the truth. When it came to the exile of Judah, the southern tribes, it was almost 100%. They left a few caretakers, people that were the sick, lame, and lazy, the old cripples, whatever, that they didn't want to carry them, take them back to Babylon, because they saw they had no worth. And so they kind of stayed and were sort of caretakers, but they were just not anybody that even Nebuchadnezzar wanted. So they took them all. All right. The last section. Lift up your eyes and see those coming from the north. Where is the flock given to you, your beautiful sheep? What will you say when he sets up the allies you cultivated for yourself over you as head? Will not labor pain seize you? Will like a woman in travail? Suppose you say in your heart, why did these things happen to me? Because of your great iniquity, your skirts are uncovered and your heels suffer violence. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? So could you do good that are accustomed to doing evil? Therefore, I will scatter them like drifting straw in the desert wind. This is your lot, the portion measured for you from me. It is a declaration of Adonai, for you have forgotten me and trusted in falsehood. Therefore, I will also uncover your skirts over your face, expose your shame, your adulteries, your lustful neighings, the lewdness of your prostitution. On the hills and the field I have seen your loathsome acts. Oi to you, Jerusalem, you are unclean. How much longer? So, all right. What we have here is talk about things coming up. Lift up your eyes for those things coming from the north. Well, we've talked about it before. That's where the conquering armies would come down from, because they had to follow the water. They couldn't go from Babylon right directly across the desert. They had to go up the Euphrates, the Tigris, and then come back down along the coast where they had water for their armies. And so now he says, where's the flock that you were given, your beautiful sheep? So this is addressed to the leadership of Jerusalem and Judah, where basically God gave them into positions of authority, and they have squandered it all. It's over. It's done. They just threw all of that responsibility away so that they could just, live the good life. And it's, you see it in leadership. I see it rare that say government leaders, they're put into position, and it's very rare that you see one that really goes out of his way to benefit the constituents instead of benefiting himself. And that's what these people are that did back in those days. So our government officials that we have today, like Solomon said, there's nothing new under the sun. They were like that 2,500 years ago. They're still that way today. People that are put in charge oftentimes look at it as a way to enrich themselves to the detriment of other people. And so they've Jeremiah says, this is like you were like a woman in labor, which is a terrible pain. And they said these leaders that you courted, what was the exact words that they said here? What will you say then when he sets up the allies you cultivated for yourself over you as head? So they were trying to make alliances with various nations back and forth to ward off the Babylonian invasion. And as it turns out, these allies that they thought were going to help them ended up being their overlords. And so and God told them, had warned them all along, you don't need these allies. All you need is me. If you will follow me, if you'll ask me, I will take care of it. No problem. And, look at what he did to Sennacherib with, 185,000 men in his army died overnight. We don't know how, why, or what happened to them, but 185,000 died overnight. And so, but then they go along and they say, well, why is this happening to us? And God says, it's because of your sin. You're just nasty people. And so then they talk about the uncovered skirts, or the skirts up over their head. So I think this is pretty easy to understand, where basically God is saying, okay, I'm going to take your skirts, and it's like little kids where you go up and little boys that grab well, I don't know that girls even wear little dresses anymore, but when I was a wee lad, little girls wore dresses, and so some guys would come up and they'd grab the dress, pull it up like that, and so they'd see their underwear, and oh my goodness, the drama that would go on. Or the idea of some boy is there and they come up and grab his gym shorts and pull them down around his ankles. Same kind of a thing, only this God says, I'm going to do that to you. I am going to expose you, and it's not going to be a quickie exposure. It's going to be long and humiliating, and you'll just wish you could die because of the humiliation. And so he talks about the Ethiopian and the leopard. He said, can an Ethiopian or a black, what it means is that can a black person, a person with black skin, can they become a person with white skin? Unless you're Michael Jackson, you just can't do it. Warren?
Rabbi, yeah. About that same verse, I'm just thinking, because it really points out how much they were invested in doing evil here, because it says, can the Cushite change his skin, or the leopard his spots? And then it says, Gamatem tuchlu lechativ limudei pareya, which means, if so, then you would be, if the Cushite can change his skin, or the leopard his spots, then you would be able to change, be able to do good. And it says, in the sentence, it says, limudei pareya, you who have been schooled in doing evil. So it's not a simple falling into evil. It says you've been schooled in this. It's because limudei, from the Hebrew lamed, to teach or learn, and so they've been studied in doing evil. So that's how
Yeah,
abominable
it,
they've gotten at that point.
it was part of their DNA at this point. They just there's no way that they could get around it and do anything different. They were just, it was so ingrained. Their evil, their inclinations was just too strong. They couldn't change it even if they wanted to at this point. And so Judah had become weightless, rootless, because he says he's going to scatter them like the chaff in the wind. And if you've ever seen that kind of a thing out there in other parts of the world, or sometimes those of us that grow our own stuff and try to play at that, you kind of try to separate all of the chaff and things that you don't want to. I was doing it just this last week, harvesting certain kind of flower seeds and blowing away the chaff and trying to keep just the seeds. And it took just a few minutes of that, and I decided, you know what? I'm just going to throw the whole seed pod, the chaff and the seeds and everything in the ground, and what comes up, because that's what happens in nature. It just falls there, and what comes up, comes up. And so, but if we're talking about grain where you're wanting to eat the seeds, then you have to do something different. And that's what you throw the stuff up, the wind comes through and blows the chaff away. And that's what Judah is going to be like, where they're just going to be the chaff. They're no longer the grain or the valuable part. They're the chaff. They're the throwaway. They're the part that just gets burned up. And so their sin and their corruption was something that they brought on themselves. They chose their fate there. In in the Coast Guard and I think Navy or something, we used to say to somebody, you choose your rate, you choose your fate. In other words, if you choose to become a gunner's mate, you have a certain path to promotion. If you choose to be a bosun mate, you have another path to promotion. And if you are a radio man, you end up sitting in a radio room and not having to go out in the cold or the wet or the hot, and you're in an air-conditioned space year-round. But if you're a bosun mate, you end up being the guy that goes out in all kinds of weather, and well, and to a large extent, the gunner's mates and so forth. And so when you choose where you're going to go, what you're going to be, then you have to live with the consequences of what you're going to be. And that's what Israel did. They chose to be sinful, and so now they're reaping the consequences of it. And in this, God said, I will humiliate you. I'm going to raise your skirts up. And I know it sounds vulgar, and it's exactly what it is. It's vulgar, where he's going to raise their skirts up to their shame, to where all of their little girl bits and boy bits will be exposed, and Isaiah, or was it Isaiah? I think it was Isaiah had also prophesied this, that said, you're going to be carried off with your backside exposed. And that he did that during that 3 years that God told him to, when he prophesied, to prophesy naked, so that he would could turn around, point to his rear end and say, see, this is how you're going to be if you don't repent. And so,
How very
Warren,
significant, how very significant that today it's a special Sabbath. It's that rededicate 250 because it's the 250th anniversary of the country, and it's a call. I mean, it was treated very much like a celebration, but it's rededicate. But it's a call really to do more than just celebrate. It's a call to turn back to turn back to God. So for all of us to do shuvah, and to reevaluate who we are, what we've done, and what our responsibilities are before the Lord.
Okay, you went silent there, Warren. We lost
I'll
you.
just repeat again. I was just saying that because today is a very significant day.
Yeah.
It's that we dedicate 250. That it's kind of it's really a call for us to, as a nation, as a people, as believers, to really get serious and get back to the Lord and stop playing games and stop being flippant about our relationship with the Lord, and
Well, I have
to
to
do shuvah.
Yeah, I have to really hand it to our president who declared, a national Shabbat, something that had never been done before, and then the next day, a day of prayer and rededication of the nation to God. And of course, the liberals are their heads are just exploding over this. But you know what? If people will take this to heart, I think our nation will continue to prosper, and we will be in a better place for it. Carmen, and then
Yes, if they take it to heart and speak up and speak out, always, everywhere, and that will shut them down. Show them that there's more of us than them, and we are here and we're speaking out.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It kind of parallels what we've been reading in this chapter of this call back to call of return, the call to holiness.
Yep. It's exactly right. Vicky.
Yeah, just along those lines too. We had the rededicate 250 here, but even I found it interesting yesterday, and I think in London there was a huge rally, and they really was talking about coming back to God. Just that God, the Lord is their God, and just trying to get people to realize there's what they have is from God, strength is from God, turn back to God, just trying to call the hearts of the people back to the Lord. And this was really a huge, massive rally over there.
Yeah, it was encouraging. It really was.
Yeah.
And the church in England is standing with the Jewish people. Yes. I mean, about time.
Well, I'll tell you what, with all the years and everything that I worked over in the UK, man, it always felt like to me that the Christian church, or the believers, they were dead and gone. You go to Aberdeen, Scotland, and Aberdeen and Dundee and other places where you look and you see all these spires from old tabernacle, what do you call it, cathedrals that have been built over the centuries, and they're empty, or now they're nightclubs, or just they're no longer a house of worship, is what I was getting at.
Well, when you have a church that is means the Church of England, where basically the king is the equivalent of the Pope, basically, in their minds, and it's you only that's the church, That is, I mean, that was um, sure, it's going to turn into just dry, dead, because it's not the Spirit of God leading it. It's really more.
But I think the Spirit of God is moving over there now, and things are turning around again. I mean, they
They
did
better.
they did go
Yeah,
bad.
they're definitely pockets of believers for sure.
Yeah.
They better. Vicky.
Yeah.
Well, they better.
No, I'm in agreement with Carmen was just saying. Yeah, it was just a different. I've never seen that. Just a different feel of it. Just seems like hope was just coming back in, and it was kind of funny because they even had signs there saying "Thank you, Donald Trump," because I think because of the courage and what they saw happening here, just giving them that that oomph that they needed.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people may not like him, but boy, he's doing some good things.
Yeah.
He's not perfect.
At all.
as none of us are, but
well, if the church remains wishy-washy, then Islam will just roll her over us. I mean, so
well, that's anywhere. I mean, Islam is coming through, and they're taking over without a shot being fired, and so well, we need to get off that one and close out for the lesson for tonight, because it's already 8:13, and I appreciate you guys jumping in with us tonight, and all of the new folks. Courtney, we hope to see you this next Shabbat, and Deb, you're going to be coming with some guests over to our house on the 24th, Shavuot. And Jess, good to meet you yesterday. I hope to see you this next Shabbat, and certainly you are invited to come out with your family to our house and celebrate Shavuot with us. We'd love to have you. And let's see, a lot of you are, well, Warren's in New York, and Carl is let's see, this is May, so he's probably up in Wisconsin again. So. Anyway, the rest of you that are around here, you're certainly welcome to come out and celebrate with us. And so that shuts us down for the class tonight. Any other comments or questions someone might have for the class?
Yes, Rabbi, is tonight the night for blowing the shofar? Is that what you said?
Yes.
The new moon or the new month?
Yeah, it's for a new moon. So yeah, go grab your shofar and get out there, because it was sunset 2 minutes ago. 2 minutes ago. Okay. So as soon as I get off of here, I'm
I
gonna
gotta make a joyful noise.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, me too.
All right, good deal.
All right. Have a great evening. Thank you for the study.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Rabbi. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all.
Be blessed.
Yep.